Oh yeah, it's morning laundry time. Oh, I now have my system of doing the laundry in the morning, so that I could, depending on how my schedule goes. The schedule still is a little weird. It's some of my days begin in the afternoon. Well, they all begin in the afternoon. It's always closing. But it's some days begin way later than others. And what is this? Somebody went poking around in a machine, left pieces of the machine sitting around. That's weird. I don't know what that is. Looks like it's some kind of set of burners of some sort. Let's poke around. Has a serial number, and it's in German. It's made in China. The numbers are in German. There we go. Ooh, yeah. Feeling kind of sleepy. All right. The thing that I was thinking about was how Donald Trump showed one of the most important things. It was really something that it hit me. I got it, but then finally I was like, this morning I was like trying to think if I were to put it into a short bunch of words. Now everybody understands the very concept of the white liberal. And like liberals, like white liberals compared to the left, like what the progressives, the left, the white liberals, like then you get these fundamentally the extremely race conscious black people that when you start to really think about how white liberals behave about race conscious politics when it comes to blacks and then when it comes to Hispanics, anything can happen to a Hispanic person. There's never going to be a fucking riot. Black people riot. Black people burn things down. As I remember one time, I forget who it was. It was one of the various kind of early alt-right websites where I remember seeing that. It said, black people burn things down. That's the difference. And with the onset of a number of black channels and really black conservative channels, Gothics, Black Conservative Patriot, Black Conservative Perspective, Black Conservative Preacher, all of these have also opened up this idea of that we're starting to understand the effeminization and tribalization that has happened since the Great Society, that Black America always had its issues between men and women, but that it's the Great Society that really exacerbates all of this. And so the white liberals, and there are two things that are absolutely sacrosanct, and really technically like it's like 3 or 4, but the two that you can talk about openly is FDR and then Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society, and neither of those two can be assailed in any way. And if you assail them or their order or anything that is recognizable from their order, one of which would be the EU, that really a lot about the post-FDR, the post-war kind of FDR order is the EU, and the EU kind of being controlled because, you know, those Europeans, you gotta watch out for those Europeans. You know, and if they like their own incredibly tiny country, who knows what they'll do. Now, of course, this brought up an entire new understanding of modern history, was the rise of the rise of the alternative right. And then other groups like reactionaries and various forms of Catholics and the orthosphere and American Protestants, and this new way that history was looked at and events were compared. That Trump exacerbated the dividing lines between the way that history had been seen and was being discussed. And as somebody like Kevin Samuels has started to show, that this is extended further than into Black American gender and sex politics, and how that affects social media among Black Americans, and then from that, the Black American society and marriage, and that a lot of these couldn't be discussed without there being this lightning rod, this person to attract everybody's attention and hatred, Donald J. Trump. That there would have been too much focus on anybody who brought anything up that was too uncomfortable. Like how nobody's talking about Richard Spencer now. Everybody remembers the horrible tragedy of January 6th that Donald Trump made happen, but nobody really is talking about Charlottesville anymore. Everyone, they needed this villain. But the thing is, though, he is really the hero that we deserved. And these dividing lines now can't be made back up. And one of the key things is that the white liberal needs the public school system to give them universal, not credo, not credit, that's not what I'm looking for, bona fides, that their view is moderate, clear, rational, and is not based out of really a type of self-interest. Key to the white liberal is that they're not acting in their self-interest. They're acting in some greater set of interests that are, it comes out of their religious roots. And yeah, this comes out of their origin as religious, typical religious Americans that got into Protestant liberation theology, and to some degree Catholic liberation theology, but really Protestant liberation theology is what really makes kind of the white liberals what they are. So now they've been exposed as kind of this, that it's like, no, there's religious nuts, and then there's nuts like this. And that people did see the hippies and the environmentalists and stuff like that. They saw them as nut jobs. I mean, really, if you look back into the 80s, even into the earliest 90s, Dharma and Greg is a good example. How the hippie nut job, how Dharma is constantly shocking Greg with this crazy way that she was raised, and how her parents are these 60s retreads who now, of course, are wealthy people, or middle class or something like that, and that they're always at odds with the rich Americans, as if they were representative of something working class, when hippies are absolutely not working class. You'll find these people who kind of identify themselves with that, who work, who labor and toil, but they in every way, shape, or form see themselves as very different than the pipe fitter. The pipe fitter is somebody who still agrees with Donald Trump and doesn't agree with their worldview. they have to work on the pipe fitter's child. They have to recruit the pipe fitter's child through school, and because they know that they're not a cultural group that is really a principled cultural group that can attract people to it. They know they're not. They know that they're kind of, that they have a tendency of being uncool. That they'll think they're cool, but they'll actually be just sort of, they'll just be looking like them. They kind of get that they're not cool. Like, this actually is something I could really point to with, it was late 90s and the 2000s had a number of these bands that came up, and a lot of you will know, you'll be able to name almost any band that came out, and that it was kind of like rock. It was kind of wimpy. Some of the songs were maybe a little funny. They had like an irony to them. They were almost like comedy bands, and they were all of them. Like, all of them were like really kind of lame, and they sounded like they could be on the Melrose Place soundtrack. And so there was not quite the same rawness that you were seeing from an earlier time. Well, that's very white liberal. That's not like conservatives. Conservatives would have somebody, the conservative thing that's actually funny is to see singers who start as kind of these all-American, like, goody two-shoes. Like, Hannah Montana was somebody who I think all of us, nobody saw that coming. But we knew that's what Disney does to young women. That's what Disney does to them. You know, like, I mean, now we know this, but at the time we didn't. It took the separation in culture for us to finally see the Miley virus happen, and this pretty young thing become what she is now. The Madonna complex, the Marilyn Monroe Madonna thing. You make the latest Songbird into a total whore, into Queen of Horrors. Yeah, and that's the norm of entertainment now. That's something that came out of the post '60s white liberal thing. While there's kind of something like this we could look back in history to. No, this is something weird about that part of the culture, and those people worship it. They love celebrities, and they really, yeah, and you know, they're consumptive. They aren't environmentalists. You know, that's also this kind of this canard. It's this kind of fake thing that they adopt. And so somebody like Greta Thunberg ends up being this mascot for, and then the idea of mascot politics, that's also a very white liberal kind of thing. Republicans are terrible at mascot politics. They're terrible at it. You're sitting there going, does this feel as awkward as it looks? You know, and it's not until you just have the Trump thing happening, where people are just like, I'm me and I love my country, and yeah, and I'm happy because I'm normal, and these people, and what we're up against are seriously abnormal people, and I'm finding it interesting now to see photos of like these various Black and Hispanic conservative politicians, and that it's become now like nobody's trying too hard. The Republicans are now at the stage where they're like, we don't have to do some weird song and dance or anything. We don't have to do anything. Like, these people actually are into what we're into our way of life, and and it's boggling some people. But now there's a range of people that are younger. They're Gen X and younger, and that they can kind of deal with that a little more easily. Seem a little more comfortable in their skin over it. That they're like, yeah, of course most black people are rather conservative, like there's this very small part of the community that are these greater society, the Great Society, welfare urchins and ferals, that ruin everything. This is a really rather small segment of the society. See, this is something that would be a very Gen X millennial understanding, being that they've read Thomas Sowell or they've read enough about the statistics that they're figuring out. They're like, wait, no, most black adults are in the workforce. A very large number of them are actually these men who you just never see around because they're in the workforce. And they're unmarried to a large extent. And they are menaced by this very small number of people who it's mostly white liberals won't throw in fucking jail for crime. And that it almost completely comes down to sort of black race grifter liberals and white liberals keeping sort of everything miserable. And at the basis of all white liberalism is the search for the white slut, is to get sex from white sluts. And that's why white liberal guys are white liberals for so much of their life until they get like divorced the second time and start figuring things out, or no, they find Jesus through a 12-step program, or now a lot of guys never get it. A lot of white liberal guys never ever get it. But Donald Trump has really, that was the beauty of that presidency, is he really caused people to divide along these absolutely necessary lines of division that now there's no way back from. There's simply no way back from. The people have said too much has been said. Everyone took it too far. Kevin Samuels has said what he's said. Abba and Preach have said what they've said. All these black women have snapped back, said, I tell you what, I told you so, now you know because I'm telling you. Hear me roar, and now there's the place where they all meet together, where you find all the MGTOW stuff and all these people now discussing, and the dudes are out. The dudes don't want to have anything to do with dating. So that ends sort of that part of the culture. And with it, one of the things I was thinking about too, being in a city where there was so much celebration in music and stuff, that since that has fallen apart as a part of the culture, the idea of the white liberal women, it's going to be an interesting change. It's going to be interesting to see them change, as they have to now become something that has to do with intelligence and principle, because they're not a part of something culturally that's a part of the sexy. They're not the sexy new thing. They're not the sexy new girl who's now she's wearing these kind of leggings or this kind of hoodie or that. Oh, everybody's wearing this now. Oh, I dyed my hair like this. Now nobody cares. And on top of it, it's not even that nobody cares. People are literally in a zone now where they're like, no, that the white liberal women totally think like black people should burn things down. Like, they're fine with this. You know, they think that they think this makes hella sense. You know, that's another problem that the division has shown. But yeah, I better check on my laundry. Oh yes, like this lady's bug has these cute eyelashes on the lights. You know, that was probably cute. You know, look at me, I'm cute. I'm in my cute car. You know, now she's not cute anymore. You know, car's looking a little old. You could hear it. You could hear it as it drove by. You know. All right, boy, I'm sleepy. Okay, I'm gonna check my laundry later.